Let us see how we can create Pandas data frames using data from files. Read_CSV is the most popular API to create a data frame by reading data from files. Some of the important options with respect to read_CSV are nothing but sep or delimiter to pass the custom delimiter apart from comma, header or names to specify the schema for our data, index_call to specify the index column for our data frame, dtype to specify custom data types, and several others. We also have several other APIs which will facilitate us to create data frame. Read_FWF, read_table, pandas.io.json, and more. However, we will be limiting our scope to read_CSV for now. Here is how we should be able to analyze the data and create a data frame from any dataset. In this case, we are using orders as example. When we actually go through our data, we understood that the delimiter in our data is nothing but comma. If you are not sure what you can do, you can actually run these commands using shell magic and you should be able to preview the data in our data frame. As of now, these are commented. Let me uncomment these things and then we can run these things to preview. So this will actually ensure that the path is correct. This will take care of printing last few lines. You can see the few lines here. If you want to get first few lines, you can also use head. This will confirm whether our data have header or not. You can see there is no header. And hence we have to say header equal to none, otherwise it will take the values from the first row as column names by default. We can pass the column names as a list using keyword argument columns. As we do not have header, we have to specify custom column names. For that, we can use a keyword argument called as columns and we can pass the list of column names to it. We will see example in a moment. Data types of each column are typically inferred based on the data. However, we can explicitly specify data types using dtype. I will not be demonstrating the usage of dtype here. We will be creating the data frame for our orders dataset using header equal to none and columns equal to the column names which we want to specify while creating the data frame. Also keep in mind that we will be running this notebook from other notebooks to create orders and order_items data frames while exploring Pandas libraries. For that reason, once you run this notebook, make sure you comment out all the informational lines so that output is not printed when we invoke this notebook from other notebooks. In this case, you need to ensure that this is commented. Also, these lines are commented so that these do not run whenever we try to invoke this notebook from other notebooks. For now, for demo purpose, I'll be uncommenting these things. Let's explore the code snippets which are provided here. To import pandas, we just have to say import pandas as PD. PD is alias for our pandas so that we can refer the functions as well as classes using this shorthand word rather than using this one. To get the help on read_CSV, you can say pd.read_CSV. It is nothing but a function. It takes file path or buffer as first argument and then you have other keyword arguments such as sep, delimiter, header, names, index_call, so on and so forth. You can spend some time in understanding some of the keyword arguments which are obvious. If you do not understand, don't worry too much about all these arguments at this time. Based upon your requirements in future, you can explore these additional keyword arguments and you can start using them if they come handy for you. Now, let me comment this out. We have already validated our dataset, both path as well as we have previewed the data, and hence I'm not going to run these things. We can see the output here. Now, this is the path. So I'm creating a variable by name orders_path by passing the path as string here. So orders_path is of type string. This is how we can actually specify the schema. It is nothing but list of strings. We have 4 columns and hence I have 4 names here: order ID, order date, order customer ID, and order status. Then you can actually use this pd.read_CSV to read the contents of the file into the data frame. Let me run this. It will take care of creating the data frame for us. You should be able to run this and you should be able to see the output here. You can see that orders have 4 attributes: ID, date, customer ID, and status. And you can also preview some of the records here. If you wanted to preview first 10 records of the data frame, then you can say head like this and you should be able to review or preview first 10 records from our data frame. In this case, I'm also reading data from order items. The path is nothing but this one for order items. I should be able to uncomment this and run this to validate that path is correct. You can see that path is correct. Let me uncomment this and run this to make sure that we understand the data. You can see that data contain 6 columns with comma as the delimiter. If you want to validate whether it have header or not, you just say head like this and you should be able to see the first 10 records and there is no header for this dataset. And hence we'll be creating the schema, which is nothing but list of strings with column names, and we can invoke read_CSV by passing the path delimiter as comma. This is optional because the default for CSV is anyway. However, if you want to explicitly specify, this is how you can specify. Either you can use sep or delimiter. Then we have to say header equal to none because we don't have header for our dataset. Then we have to say names equal to, and we have to pass the list of names to specify the schema. You should be able to run this. Then you can actually preview the data by running this cell. You can see the output here. If you want to get first 10 records, you can actually say order underscore items dot head of 10 like this, and you should be able to see first 10 records. This is how you should be able to use read underscore CSV to read the contents of the file into a data frame. As I have emphasized earlier, make sure you comment out all the informational lines so that output is not printed when we invoke this notebook from other notebooks. When we explore the Pandas libraries in subsequent topics, we will be invoking this notebook quite a few times. Make sure all these code snippets are commented the way I have commented here. When you try to use this material, you will be getting these code snippets commented out. If you want, you can uncomment them, run them. But before going into the next topic, make sure all these code snippets are commented out, or just remove the existing notebook and copy the notebook from my material, and then you should be good to go. That being said, as we have understood about how to create the data frame out of the data which is from the file, let's explore the appropriate APIs to process data based upon our application requirements.